Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today we're just going to play catch up. I did not film last night because I was busy cooking. I have a coworker that is going to be leaving us pretty soon, and I am known at work not just for the coding but for my cooking. I love to cook, so whenever we have luncheons or anything like that, I always bring in something new or something that everybody really likes. Because I just love cooking. I don't have anybody around except for me, so when I get a chance to cook for a lot of people, to me it's a lot more better, because when you cook for just yourself, it gets very boring and it's like, oh, I don't want to cook for just myself. So I like to, when I bake things or when I'm cooking, whatever, if I'm making a lot, I like to take it into work and share it with my friends and coworkers. So this, is really nice because people can give you good feedback, and my cooking skills stay sharp because I love, like I said, I love cooking, and I always get told that I should have my own restaurant. I think that when I was younger, I didn't really think about, like, I mean, I love to cook even when I was young, but it wasn't like so much like it is now, where it's more of a passion that I love to do it, because I like to look for recipes. I like to look for things that are unique and good, and very easy. I love easy recipes. A little harder stuff is okay, but I really like easy recipes that turn out like really good. I don't like cooking like super weird things. I like down home cooking, and I like knowing how to make really good mashed potatoes and really good macaroni and cheese and some really good fried chicken. Now, I do have a good recipe for a good fried chicken, but I haven't made it in forever, so I have to find it. But I like to do those things. And one thing I had made before at work was jambalaya, and I had followed this award-winning recipe, and of course everybody loved it. But this time, my friend that's leaving, she was like, well, I missed out on your jambalaya. By the time I got here, it was all gone. So she was like, can I ask you to make it one more time before I leave? And I'm like, yeah, sure, So I was making it last night, and I love coming on here and talking to you guys and talking about medical coding. And it's just like, it felt so weird last night not talking to you guys. And I'm like, I should have just set the camera up and just been talking to y'all while I was cooking, And so that way y'all can see what I was doing. But oh well, so I'm here today, and I figure we can just talk and catch up. And if y'all don't mind, I'm drinking my coffee too, because I do like to drink afternoon coffee. I am one of those ones that can drink coffee any time of the day. It doesn't really keep me awake at night. In fact, it does the opposite. Like, it really does put me to sleep, like really good sleep. So it's a good way to wind down for me. Like I said yesterday, when I was cooking and making this jambalaya, and I had done it my own way this time, because I knew the basics after making the jambalaya the first time. And the first time I made it, I had never made it before. So the second time, I knew what to put in it, and I knew what I did not want in it, and I knew what to change up. So if you're familiar with my Instagram, I did post a picture of the finished product of what my jambalaya looks like. I did comment, because somebody asked for the recipe, so I put it down in the comments on my Instagram page, Medical Coding with Blue. Very easy. I hopefully she'll try it, or somebody will see it and try it. When it comes to how much spices to put, I don't measure, and I know that's kind of hard, because people need to know the measurements. But I measure by shake. So like 3 shakes is generally what I put in. When it comes to salt, I'm not very heavy-handed with salt, because I think that some of the other ingredients bring in the salt, and I don't have to really add more salt on top of that. So I just kind of just do a little dust over, when it comes to salting. So like I said, I like to change things up, and the Tony Chachere's last night was really like the perfect thing to put in that, because it was just like, oh, okay. And boy, you could really smell all the good food because I had the sausages. I'd cut them up, and I had let them fry a little bit, and I put in the tomato and the onion and the bell pepper and the celery, and oh, you could just smell it. It was just smelled amazing. And so by the end, when I finished it all, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I had to stop myself from eating more because it was late, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And so then the next day, when of course I had it today, overnight, it just tastes so much better the next day because it's had time to marinate and everything. But oh, it was really good. So, but like I said, that's just something that I like to do. I love cooking, and I think now that I'm older, it's more. I'm more into it now than I was before because I've always loved to cook. But I never really thought much about what I was cooking. I used to try to, I do boxed cakes and things like that. Now I do cakes from scratch because I like to know what's going into the cake. I like to have control over what ingredients I use. The cake that I made, which is a chocolate cake, and it was off one of these websites that I follow, it had no egg in it. And surprisingly, it was very spongy. It's chocolate, and I made it with Ghirardelli. Oh, so good. And but like I said, I enjoy doing that. And but I figured I would just talk today with you guys. I did have a lesson today for injuries, but I figured let's just go ahead and talk because like I'm tired from last night from all the cooking, and I said, well, let me just go ahead and catch up because I've been getting a lot of emails lately from people asking, what is the difference between getting a certificate, being certified, and getting a degree? And will one of these, get me a job faster? I've said this, and I will continue to say this. When it comes to medical coding, unless you have prior experience somewhere, it will take a hot minute to get a job. Like I said, I had many instances where I was knocking on a lot of doors in the beginning and just getting the door slammed on my face every time. Because, people just, for some reason, with medical coding, you have to have experience. But how can you get experience if no one will hire you? So it is a matter of pushing and making sure that you keep insisting and knocking on doors and meeting as many people as you can until somebody finally lets you in. Because that's the one thing you can't do is give up. When it comes to medical coding, they will not hire you a lot in the beginning because you have no experience. So I went through a temporary agency, and that's what helped me to get my foot in the door. So don't discount the temporary agencies, and look into the temporary agencies in your area if you are looking for a job and you are a medical coder. Look into those and see if they can hook you up with a job, because every job they put you on is more filler for your resume. So a lot of AAPC questions, guys. I'm not an AAPC member, so I can tell you what I know about medical coding, but as far as specifics with AAPC, like I said, I'm not a member, so it's hard for me to answer these questions. But what I can tell you is the CPCA is the apprentice, so that's like people who are, I guess, brand new, and they have different programs that they do to remove that A. If you feel that it's beneficial for you, which I would assume that it is, because then you wouldn't be an apprentice, you would be a regular CPC. If you want to do those programs to remove that A, then by all means go for it. This is something that takes dedication. Medical coding takes a lot of dedication, but the reward is there because you work with some of the most amazingly smart people that you will ever meet in your whole life, and they're all unique. And it does offer intellectual stimulation, which sometimes when you're working in a regular job, sometimes things get mundane. I did bartending. I worked in a halfway house where I worked with people who needed help all the time. And so, I worked at a concession stand, and it's like you meet a lot of people, but it does get monotonous after a while because it's the same thing. Well, with medical coding, there's so many things that you're doing, whether you're educating your providers, you're reading medical charts all day, you're learning things from medical charts all day, and then don't even get me started on some of the stuff that you read, It's very interesting stuff. So if you are wanting to get into a field that is mentally stimulating, mentally challenging, then, medical coding is great for that. But it takes a lot of reading, constant studying. Just because you get done with school doesn't mean that you're done with the learning part. You still have to hold up your end of the deal. If you are with AHIMA, we have to do self-assessments, and we have to send in continuing education units. So each credential has a set number of continuing education units. So I mean, there's that. With AAPC, I know they have continuing education units. They don't have the self-assessments like AHIMA does. So there's a difference there. And like I said, I'm not an AAPC member, so I don't really know too much about their organization. I know some things, but not everything. So if you have a specific question, it would probably be better if you contacted them. But when it comes to the medical coding side of the house and knowing what it is to be a medical coder, hey, I can answer that. But specifically for that association, I mean, I'm gonna have to defer to them because I really don't know, and I always feel bad. I don't like telling people I don't know stuff. That's one of my pet peeves. I always say, oh yes, I will try to find an answer for you, but what are you gonna do? So like I said, if you are going into a program that's offering a certificate, this is not going to give you a credential with initials after your name, okay? And those initials are key because they are what most employers are looking for. Not all, okay? But most employers are looking for credentialed people, okay? So if you say, oh yes, I have a certificate, that is not the same, okay? Certificate's not going to give you those credentials after your name, okay? That's what you want. You want those credentials because that's telling the employer, hey, I've dedicated myself and, I've taken this certification exam and I passed, and, this organization says that I am this credential and here I am. So, as far as getting a degree, if you don't know a whole lot about medical coding and you don't have experience and things like that, I would suggest getting a credential and seeing if you like it first before you go and spend all this money to be, get your degree. If you want to get your degree, great. I always encourage people to have higher learning anyway. But sometimes people will go into getting a degree and then they figure out that they don't like it. So that's always a possibility, but it depends too on what your situation is. Who are you around as far as like employers? Are you around employers that are friendly to new people who are just out of school? As far as getting your degree, that plays a lot into it too, because some people when they're in college and they get these externships and then they get offered jobs at the place that they did an externship at, it's easier for them to get in because they did externships. So that's always a possibility too. So, but as I said, don't give up on it so easy. If you have your degree, if you just got your degree and you're getting in and you're thinking, gosh, I don't like this. If you like to study, if you like to read and learn more and things like that, it just depends on the situation. Look at your situation. If it's a temporary situation of why you don't like medical coding, if you decide you don't like it, look and see if it's just your situation of where you're at, or if it is overall that you are just not happy doing it. And like I said, patience is a virtue when it comes to this field. So that's another thing to keep in mind too, especially when you're starting out in the beginning. So like I said, certificates are just saying that you completed a program. That is not the same as a certification. Certifications are when you go and you sit for an association exam, okay? Whether it's the American Health Information Management Association, or AHIMA, or American Academy of Professional Coders, AAPC. And I always leave both website addresses down in my description box. So if you are interested, you really need to do your research, because I can answer questions, but I can only answer to a certain point, particularly with AAPC, because like I said, I'm not a member and I don't know. Sorry, y'all, my phone was ringing. I was like, what the heck? I hate when it does that. So anyway, I'm back. But yes, be sure to look into those things. I like medical coding. I always feel like I'm very biased because I love it. But it is a passion that grows after a while. If you're really into it. If you seek learning, it does get easier, because you learn more and then you learn to question more. And I've been in this field for over a decade. I'm still asking questions. I don't think you ever stop asking questions. But that's what I like about it. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get, monotonous or stagnant. It does, there's always something new every day. So tomorrow is Quiz Friday. And tomorrow I'm going to throw on more procedures, more modifiers, since you guys seem to like modifiers. And modifiers, I think, is something that we all should talk about. Because sometimes we just don't think about certain modifiers, like modifier 58. I never thought about that modifier before, and now it's in my face a lot. So but anyway, so I hope you guys have not minded me babbling today. But I am on Instagram, like I said, so if you are interested, follow me on Instagram. I'll probably be posting anytime I cook anything else new. I'll post it on there. That's it. That's all I have for today, but I am looking forward to tomorrow with Quiz Friday. So if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I hope you will like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye!